Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our third edition of K-Talk, our monthly live show with all the exciting topics of the coming trade show K in the German city of Düsseldorf. Long before the exhibitors built up their booth on the show floor in October, the topics and technologies are being prepared. Perfect for us, so we can discuss about them already now. The title of today's edition is Digitalisation, Enabler for Circular Economy? ? And my guests are true experts in this sector. Here we go. Welcome, Professor Dr. Christian Hopmann, Director of the Institute for Plastics Processing at RWTH Aachen. Good to have you with us.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Next is Michael Günzel, responsible for global automation IT at company Festo. Welcome, Michael.
Welcome back. Hello, everybody.
And number 3 is Guido Frohnhaus, Managing Director, Technology and Engineering at company ARBURG. Thanks for joining, Guido, and welcome.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Before we start with our discussion, I'd like to invite you, dear viewers, to participate and send your questions and remarks to us here in the studio. I will pass them on to my guests and we will try to answer them during this show. So don't be shy. The more you participate, the more fun we all have. So let's start. My first question goes to you, Christian. Is today's level of digitalization in the plastics industry already sufficient to enable a true circular economy? What do you think?
Well, if we want to enable a true circular economy, we have to consider a lot of different technologies. We have to collect our waste, we have to treat the waste, we have to do mechanical recycling, chemical recycling, we have to include biomass for raw material production, and we have to introduce carbon capture and storage. So a lot of different technology have to be combined to get to a truly digital value chain. And that is important to create a truly circular economy. If you look on the current state of the art, then we can see we had a lot of machines which are connected to the internet. We have a lot of data coming out of those machines. We get a good insight on the specific processes, and we can combine those data. But to create a fully digital value chain, which is from my point of view required to create a circular economy in plastics technology, there's still a way to go, let's say. So we still have to do our homework, we have to do research, we have to do development, and that will take a couple of years until we come to a fully digitalized and circular plastics industry.
Guido, at the last K in 2019, digitalization was the central topic on the show floor and in the industry. Compared to today, what is the difference between the former definition of the word digitalization and today? Is there a difference? Has the market and the industry developed to another stage of digitalization in the meantime?
Well, I think the digital tools we apply in the plastic industry developed quite significantly over the last couple of years. And if you look at assistance systems and pilots like we have in our portfolio, they are way more sophisticated than what you could see a couple of years earlier. So I think, yes, the discussion is a little bit a different one since the technology developed quite a bit.
Michael, Festo is not only supplying the plastics industry, but all kind of other industries worldwide. If you compare the level of digitalization in the plastics industry with other industries, how advanced is it in plastics? Can you tell that?
It's not so easily, yes. We at Festo working on several production processes. We use injection molding, we produce electronic components, we work with drilling and milling machines in the metal environment. But very often we see the same situation, and it was explained at the beginning. The machines produce the data. Yes, and now what can we do with this data? And for the plastic industry, in case of Festo, we work together with the company ARBURG, for example, on some topics, and we see this is a very special environment what we use, but the combination between our other environments, it's not so easily, it's not so open, this environment. And with, if we're talking about a full digitalized value stream, this is a problem with this. My opinion is this is a problem that we have at the moment. It's not very standardized, the communication between different machine vendors, for example.
Okay, Christian, this is presumably something you are dealing with every day. So the communication among machines and systems. And we've seen that in many other industries in the past already, that before they could come to a true network, they had to have norms, they had to have standards first to have the machines talking to each other. How far are we in the plastics industry?
So actually, we have to consider that we not only have different machines from different suppliers, but we also have machines of different ages. And we want to connect all those lines which are in place to our system. The question for me is, do we really wait until we have our final standard for the interfaces? Or do we, which I think is the better way, do we start with the digitalization of the most important machines and the most important systems, and we have to create interfaces? I don't think that we will have, I mean, there is a lot of work made already in creating standardized interfaces like OPC UA and so on. And this is really important, nothing wrong with that. And we should also continue to that direction. But on the other hand, we also have to consider that there is machines and lines available which need to be connected to the internet, which need to be connected to a digitalized value chain. So that means we have to go both ways. We have to develop the interfaces for all the different machines and lines and systems which are already in place, and we have to do under our standardization work. And that is the two paths we are following, at least in our institute.
Guido, we just heard the key word internet. That means the communication of machines through the Internet of Things. That is something that many companies do have problems with, because as soon as we talk about an open network that combines data through the Internet, we have a potential risk of losing data. How do you handle this in the meantime, and how is the reaction of your customers towards this part of the digitalization process?
So we at ARBURG, we equip every machine we ship to our customers with an interface to the internet. So we are actually able to connect every machine to our customers' platform on edge, on promise, or even connected to our own IT infrastructure. Since we have our own control on our machines, the security level in terms of breach into the system is quite high. So since we are in a more or less ARBURG specific platform, there is no really a danger so far that there's a breach of security in the system. In talking about our customers, their behavior is quite different. We have luckily a lot of customers that are willing to share their data with us so that we can enhance our processes and our data structure. But there are also some customers that are very tight, and they use our interfaces for their own network. But I think it's still a long way for us as a machine builder, and I think that's not plastic molding machine specific, that technology companies like our customer will let other partners into the network. So that is quite a obstacle to overcome. But I think that's for every machine builder the same question.
Michael, do you share this opinion? How do Festo customers react when it comes to big data management?
In the situation of Festo, we deliver components, and we want also to use the data from our components, which are installed in machines from customers. But we are not in the normally we are not in the direct contact to the end customer. I want to use this word, but I share some topics from Guido, and I want to add some remarks. If we speak about data in the cloud, this is my opinion is sometimes it's a misunderstanding. We do not transfer the data because of our ARBURG machines directly to the cloud. If I speak about ARBURG X-World, for example, we use a data location which is hosted and provided from company ARBURG in a safe data center. This is for me not a problem to share the data for that, and that is what I want to transfer now. The security topic is a main topic. For example, for Festo, this is not a main topic. This is a major topic at the moment. We learn a lot of every day if we open the newspaper about cyber attacks in the industry. We do a lot to make our environment secure, and not only a remark to the sentences from Guido, also to a remark to we cannot use this greenfield approach. Yes, we have this brownfield environment. We have a lot of older machines in our factories. We produce worldwide, and this is the main difference to an IT equipment. In a normal IT environment, you replace your equipment after 3 or 4 years. And on the shop floor in the manufacturing environment, you use machines for 10 plus years. And to enable machines now for the future, it's quite different or quite difficult to add these machines, for example, to a cloud environment if you have unsecure operating system insights and so on. Therefore, yes, I agree, we use these 2 lanes. We have the newer machines which are well prepared to connect to a cloud environment, and we have this older environment if it's possible to use this also in a cloud environment, for example. And back to your question, Guido, agree with big data. Yes, big data is one of the biggest buzzwords. We speak about data lakes and so on. And for that, we need experience, how to handle this amount of data, how we can use that. And for that, I think a good way can be if we transfer, for example, our machine data to ARBURG, to the ARBURG's cloud environment, and ARBURG can enable or identify some benefits for us. This is much more easier for a manufacturing company as to establish all these experience inside a company. A lot of words from my side. I hope I answer your question. Back to you.
Yes, you did. Christian, I'd like to come back to the starting point and have a little definition of circular economy, because that is part of the title of our today's show, Digitalization as an enabler for the circular economy. So the question is, when we can not only talk about one machine manufacturer or one supplying company, but we are talking about a whole entire system of different companies which have to cooperate. That means we are starting in the recycling corner, then we are going to washing, to cleaning, to compounding, to many kind of different companies. So how can we manage to bring those parties together and make them talk to each other?
Actually, we start a little bit earlier with the product development. We should not forget about that. The design for recycling, which is also a big word, is extremely important to enable the circular economy. Anyway, your question, how can we bring all those players together? That is a really huge question. We already have been talking about the companies hesitating, providing data to a system, but I think data security is a competence which needs to be developed in the company anyway. And the companies will not have a full control over their process if they do not have control over their data. So we need to create systems which can deal with data from different players along the entire value chain, from product development to recycling and back. And at the same time, we have to make sure that everyone has control over this data. And then we need to have, and that is important, an incentive system. So something which monetizes the data, that the data is getting a value, so that providing data creates value for the company, and utilization of data has a cost impact. And then we can evaluate those data or validate this data and can bring those together. That means that there's new business models to be set up, which deal with those data, make the data independent from the current application, so that the knowledge of the company is protected, but at the same time, we are able to extract the basic information out of the process, out of the product, to combine the different processes, the different steps to the value chain.
But Guido, my question is, who could then be the organizer of this communication, of this network? Because yes, we can see that it is necessary to bring those parties together, but who is the one who brings all those information streams together? Because in the past, those companies haven't worked together yet, so it's something quite new. And even if the associations, for example, like the VDMA, are heavily working on such things like standardization, there are still other branches, other industries like recycling, like injection molding, like testing. They do not have the same ground from where to start. So what could be the solution from your point of view? Who could be the communicator? Maybe you as a machine manufacturer?
Well, I don't know if we would be the organizing body to come up with a common system. For sure, we as a machine builder for plastic molding machines, we are right in the center of this process. We can act as an enabler because we touch the system, we touch the material, we deal with the tools, and we will be able to put some identifiers on the material. I think the key is a common database, a common way to identify and to mark the material. We all saw different possibilities like Holy Grail or other marking technologies which we can put on parts, on backs, on labels, on automotive parts, or any type of packaging. But we have to round up all the different players in the system to and enable them to read the markings. Yeah? And we don't have to do this only in Germany or in Europe. We have to be able to do this all over the world. And I think that's the trick. So and that's a job that I'm afraid the industry by itself will not be able to do. So we need organizations like the VDA or some governmental bodies that will maybe even enforce the use of those systems to get the system going. We will be able to distribute markings and codes and enable the recycling industry to sort the parts, but without the willingness of the whole value chain, like Mr. Hopmann said, it will be a very tedious and difficult undertaking to get to a real circular economy.
I would like to dig a little bit deeper into that, because now that comes to a different segment where we are not talking only about communication among machines, but communication with the product itself. So if I understood you right, Guido, you say that by marking the end product that comes out of your machines, you will be able to identify it in the stream and lead it to the right corner for the right process of recycling, for example. Christian, how far is the industry in that? Are the projects like Holy Grail that we just heard, are they advanced enough to be transferred into the real life, or is it still not enough?
I mean, it's for the plastic products are very different. We have, like in packaging, we have very small products in huge numbers, and we have, and they are living for a pretty short time. And we have other products which are bigger, which you can mark more clearly. But in all cases, you have problems to follow the material along the value chain. That means by marking the material, I personally think it will be really difficult to sort all the materials out to make a very clean collection of a specific material. On the other hand, we also have to consider if it really makes sense to sort all these materials, because at the end we have very low volume of very specific recycling material. And we put a lot of efforts in the recycling of this specific material. We all know that the material is always adapted to the application. And if the outcome of the recycling process is volume-wise very low, it's not interesting. So from my point of view, also maybe coming back to the question before, who could be the integrator of all the different processes and materials and products and so on? I think there's two different really important approaches to that. First of all, we will see sooner or later, I believe rather sooner, that there is regulation on the plastics material. We see the regulation on the CO2 emission, greenhouse gas emission. We see regulation on microplastics and all the stuff. Though there is the politics in Brussels, for instance, who have a lot of awareness on that topic, and they will create regulation on that. The second one is business models. I strongly believe we will have business models which we do not know today, because the pressure on the manufacturer of the products, the different partners along the value chain will increase. They will be incentivized to provide the data to service providers who collect the data, extract the knowledge, and give back information, which then the manufacturer of the material, the developer of the product, can consider to make the product, the overall process, even better. And for that reason, I'm not so sure, to be honest, if an association is the right player on that, because I think that is really a big a big step for an association, but I believe there's business models, so there will be companies who will jump into that business.
The circular economy that we are talking about now in the plastics industry is not the first circular economy to be installed. There have been former examples of other industries who did that in the past, namely the paper industry, the metal industry, the glass industry. They were able to install a circular economy to a certain extent. And when we look at the reason why that worked in the past, it was always an economical advantage that the players had. How can this economical advantage be built up for the plastics industry? Because if I understood the experts right, the circular economy in the plastics industry is something far more complicated than, for example, in the paper industry. So, Michael, for example, what could be the economical advantage being offered to the companies to join in this game?
Difficult for me to give you an answer. I'm not the really expert about the plastic industry. We use only and we produce products on injection molding environment machines. For me, sorry, I have no idea at the moment. I cannot give you the right answer. Sorry.
So maybe Guido, you can jump in. What could be the economical advantages or the economical offerings that make the circular economy for the plastics industry start? Like I said in other examples in the past, they have been able to start up with the circular economy in other industries.
Well, it's always a question of the economy of scale, right? And that's a big question here. Coming back to what I said earlier, if I look at a process to recycle post-industrial material, that's quite easy, right? I can do it within the company. You have an immediate impact on your material cost. Wonderful. You can bring it back to the compounder. You will get nearly virgin material. If you go to post-consumer processes and recycling processes, I think that's where it's getting complicated. And so far, the work that has to be done to get into a really economic way of sorting material and identifying is so tedious and so expensive that there is currently no financial benefit for a company that's trying to use material out of the circular economy process. And so for me, the question is there, how do we get to an economy of scale? And then some of the questions and remarks Mr. Hopmann brought up earlier, I think can be solved. Yeah? As long as we are not able to make sure that the player in the system make money, nobody will invest. That's unfortunately what's going to happen, I think.
Christian?
Maybe, yeah. I fully agree with that, but I believe that again, the regulation will bring this economical advantage. The CO2 price will increase, the energy prices increase, there's some taxes on the plastics and so on. And at the same time, we will have some minimum content discussions. So we need to feed back the material, the used material. So there will be within the European Union, but I think in almost all over the world, there will be huge political activities to stimulate this market. And I strongly believe, the longer I do look at the recycling of plastic, the more I believe we need to have this kind of regulation, because we see that the market itself did not solve the problem for the last 30 years. So why should the market itself do it in the next 10 years? There will be the regulation, and for that reason, we will also then have the opportunity to make money out of circular economy.
Right.
Guido, I would like to come back to machine technology, because that is what you are dealing with day by day. I noticed that during the last years, the industry, the plastics machining industry, changed quite a lot. Because when some years ago, the first ideas were spread about digitalization and the impact of plastics on the environment, there were some hesitations. Many machine manufacturers saw only the risk, but not the chance. In the meantime, I learned that you, for example, as a machine manufacturer, do really like the idea of digitalization, and circular economy is coming up because the world will need new machines to handle the new materials. For example, biomaterials, for example, recycled materials. So instead of hearing criticism, I'm mostly hearing positive feedback. Is that true for ARBURG as well?
I think the change in environment, the change in discussions around, let's call it sustainability. Yeah, I think that's not only about circular economy. It's about sustainability. It's about energy, reduction of energy consumption. That's a wonderful field for engineers and inventors to get busy and look for new solutions, right? And here we at ARBURG, the idea of sustainability is driving a lot of our inventions and new ideas. Yeah, if we look at the process technology, how can we improve the amount of energy to melt the material, to inject it into the machine? How can we reduce the amount of energy to make the machine move? Yeah, to inject, to open it, to close it. That's a challenging discussion we are having. But I think in the long run, if we are open to get down this road for all machine builders and for us in the plastic industry, it's more a chance than a challenge. And I think if we address those issues coming up, we will all win. And that's how ARBURG is looking at the situation, not only today, but I believe for the last couple of years, for the last decade. And that's the reason that's one of the reasons for where we are standing today as a successful technology company.
Michael, is that true for Festo as well? Is digitalization adding value to your products? Can you make more money with digitalization than without it?
I think yes. We hope it. We want to add additional functionality to our components, to our product. The vision is that every component or every product can connect via Ethernet and create the necessary data. And for us, we produce pneumatic components, and because of the topic to reduce the necessary, I hope this is the right word, air pressure, it is a big challenge, yes, and we hope that we can add for this. Sometimes we speak about final developed environment. If we speak about pneumatic, we can establish additional features to this component, how we can add additional features to these components, and then we see that we can earn money with these additional features. These features are helpful for our customers, and yes, this is true.
Mm-hmm. Christian, at the coming K in Düsseldorf, there will be thousands of exhibitors, and one of the major topics will surely be circular economy, climate change, and protection of environment. And one thing is also true: no one of those exhibitors is doing that without a good economical background, or with the idea of earning money with this technology. And we should be very clear and open with that we are seeing a lot of technologies there, and they couldn't be developed and they couldn't be produced without the idea of making money with that. So how do you think for example, German plastics industry is prepared for that? Did they find already a way to convert the technological ideas into business cases, or is it still, let's say, a kind of experiment the industry is working on at the moment before they can convert it into some kind of business?
I believe it's both. I mean, the K-Show has always been an idea market, let's say. So companies, people are showing their ideas, showing their latest development, offering that to the market, and over the years we will then experience whether or not those ideas survive, come to the market, are introduced into product, and so on. In that specific topic, I believe we will see, I strongly believe, we will see on the K-Show 2022 a lot of new technologies which are highly digitalized. I'm very sure about that. I believe strongly, and we see that already, that there are companies who are earning money with digitalization. I would also rather say it's really difficult to make money without digitalized processes already today, and even more in the future. And in that regard, the K-Show will be extremely interesting to see what is the state of the art at the different companies. How can those companies be connected? If you go over the trade show, you see from the raw material producer, the machine manufacturer, everybody who is offering some equipment or devices or services and so on. You see different ideas, and you might connect them by your own consideration, how you can make a new product, a new value chain out of that. So for that, I think it will be a very inspiring atmosphere at the K-Show, seeing technologies already on the market, people who make money with digitalized products, and new ideas which have to prove their future on the market.
Guido, one question concerning the activities in the marketplace regarding digitalization. Are your customers pulling information from you? Are they asking you to bring in new ideas, new technologies to increase the degree of digitalization? Or do you need to push digitalization into the market and force your customers to accept a higher degree of digitalization? Who is the one who is pushing or pulling?
Well, I think you will find both, right? But the improvement and enhancement of technology, a lot of our customers are striving for new digital tools and digital processes, because they see that with using new tools, simulation of processes, reduction of material, they see the advantages, and they use us more as a partner in developing processes. So it's both. Yeah, sometimes you gotta you got to tease a little, look what's possible today, and then wonderful project starts, and it's a wonderful partnership that both our customers and very often we benefit of the result and come up with new ideas even for our processes and machines.
Got you. And we have a question in our chat, which I would like to place to one of you. It says, when talking circular, is the definition to put back to same product or to use again in other products? Defining the system seems to be an issue. Christian, maybe?
From my point of view, it's not, in many cases, it will not be reasonable to feed the material back to exactly the same product. Because the logistics are maybe not made for that. The energy input might be too high, and also the environment does not really benefit from that. At the end, what is really important to disconnect the plastic consumption and the plastic consumption from crude oil and gas, so from natural or coming back to natural resources, to reduce greenhouse gas emission, to reduce the release of plastic to the environment, and whether or not the material goes back to the same product or a different, I think that is not really important.
Okay, there is another question coming in, just freshly coming in. It says, in order to realize circular economy, is waste management also partner of the digital networks to collect and provide data? Are there already examples for corporations? Guido, do you know that?
So there are some groups, consortiums that are working with a wide range of industry and partners in the circular economy value stream. Yes, there are some examples, and the more people that are getting into this group, the more sufficient those processes and developments will get.
Christian?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important to integrate those players in. I mean, I'm always talking about the value chain, and if you consider the value chain, of course, the ones who are collecting the waste and sorting and washing and whatever they do, they have to be part of this digitalized value chain. Some of them are already. I think we see a clear trend over the last, let's say, 5 years, that more and more players from this part of the plastics markets are connecting to plastic processors, and in particular to the OEMs, which are highly interested in lowering their CO2 emissions and so on, and into having a better carbon footprint. So we see the clear trend already, but honestly, it's still not enough, of course.
Exactly. My last question goes towards the future of digitalization in the plastics industry. Michael, if you could place a wish, what will be the vision for the future? How would digitalization develop in the nearest future to enable or to improve circular economy for this industry? What is your vision or your wish?
My main wish is to have a fully standardized environment available. The machine manufacturer should have a clear perspective what is necessary to have in the machines because of IT equipment, how we can handle this in the future, and how open are the interfaces that we can connect to these environment from our network. Yes, and if it's available like a standard interfaces OPC way, sorry, then it's okay, but it is not very often helpful. But And the last wish from my side is how we can proceed with our older equipment, how we can make this older equipment ready for the future. What is possible on site the manufacturer?
Sounds exciting. Guido, what is your vision for the future? What are the prerequisites for a working circular economy in the plastics industry?
I think Christian made a very important point earlier, talking about the whole product life cycle, right? We have to make sure that we will be able to connect all processes from the design, simulation, production processes, from cradle to grave, to be successful in reducing our waste and saving energy. And I think there is a long way to go to do that, not necessarily from a technology point of view. I think we got already quite sophisticated tools, probably more from a way of thinking, right? We gotta learn to connect people, right? Better than what we are doing today, and then we will be able to use our digital tools, design tools, FEM tools, and many, many more. And by doing that, we will be able to design efficient products, maybe even design for circular economy. And I think that's the biggest challenge coming up for us, and at the same point of time, the biggest opportunity.
Christian, enabling the circular economy, question mark, that was the start of our today's show. Is the digitalization already capable of doing that in the plastics industry, or do we still have to improve?
Oh, we still have to improve for sure. I mean, it's really a huge task. This is not something we can do just overnight. And also the expectation which has been put on digitalization and artificial intelligence and stuff like that has been extremely high years ago, maybe too high, or for sure too high, and we have to be realistic. We have to think about the amount of material, the plastics material. We are producing today 380 to 400 megatons, accounting for 6% of the crude oil consumption worldwide. In 30 years, it's projected that we are coming to a level of almost triple the figures. So 1,200 megatons, 20% usage of oil, if we do not do something about that. And to reduce the impact of plastics on the environment, to reduce the consumption of crude oil, to reduce the CO2 emissions, to reduce microplastic and all that stuff, there's a lot of activities. And one of the keys we have in our hand is digitalization. We do need to have further research on that, which is good for me, obviously. And I like that idea very much. But we have to, and that is also important, also on the, let's say, scientific level, we have to combine the different faculties. We cannot just handle that being a plastics engineer. We also need to have the colleagues from the data science, where we have strong cooperation with in terms of digitalization and circular economy, which didn't exist 2 years or 3 years ago. And that is the way we have to go. It will bring us into a good future for plastic, but there's still a lot of opportunities and a lot of work for us ahead.
What a nice final sentence. All right, gentlemen, we have come to the end of our today's K-Talk. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for participating, and all the best. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining today. If you want to watch our K-Talk again or share it with your friends and colleagues, just have a look at our landing page, where we will shortly place the video on demand. You will find all our previous shows there as well. If you want, we will meet again next month in our 4th edition on April 28th. We will discuss about plastic trends in the electronic market. So don't miss it. Thanks again for watching. Stay healthy, and bye-bye.